Good morning, everyone. So, I share an identity of being a scientist or a manager or as an officer on special duty. But today I want to talk to you all about something which is really close to my heart, something which I have grown up as, something which my parents are, something which my brother is, which is a farmer. And I am not alone. Because there are about 800 million rural people in this country. 50% of the workforce of this country is either in farm or as agricultural laborers. So that's the topic I like to represent as a farmer. And this is where I come from. In Uttar Pradesh, there's a small place called Pratapgarh. Not a lot of people might have heard of it. As a child, I've spent a lot of time in that particular rural setting of Pratapgarh. And our post contact with the outside world was an open jeep, commando jeep, and which would come once in a week, ferry people, to the nearest bus stop, which would take you to the nearest city of Allahabad. Connectivity was always an issue. And that's why we focused on a model where connectivity would be brought to the rural areas. You see, culture, popular culture, and cinema is the most popular culture in India, represents what we think about a place. So some of you might belong to the Sholay generation of Ramgarh, or some of you may belong to the Champaran generation of Lagan. But what does it represent about the rural area? Our culture represents Ramgarh, which is an outlawed place where the best profession to be is being a bandit, and who requires two action heroes of Hindi cinema to really bring them out of it. That is the cultural outlook which we are giving to our villages. But that's not what we are. 80% population of this country cannot be represented by Ramgarh and Champaran. Look at this picture. This picture represents a lot of things. I clicked this in a place in Maharashtra, near Loni, near Shirdi. And this picture speaks a lot of stuff. Notice the farmer with the Gandhian topi on top. Notice the plow, which is a wooden plow, lacks technology. That's where we need technology intervention. Notice the two women who are pulling the plow. That's where we need empowerment of the underprivileged sections of society. And if you have noticed, the girl is in a school uniform. That's where education needs to be strengthened. That's where children have to be put back to school. And if you have also noticed the shoes with the farmer and bare feet of the women. That is where inclusion is necessary. And something that the picture does not tell you is that I met this farmer called Mr. Babu Lal Bhawan, and he took me to his house and brought out, asked for, would you like to have something? He brought out a 1 liter bottle of a very popular cola brand. Poured it in, and we all had a diluted cola there. What a cola company can reach this farmer, why can't the modern technology, the modern management reach this farmer and his family? We move further. So, those of you are engineers might be familiar, but I'll tell you, this is basically the Brownian motion which happens in any metal. With the ions going around, and this metal has absolutely no magnetic properties. And this is how our efforts are. Something is going here, something is going there, but there is no coordination. And what we need is basically that magnet. To bring all our efforts into an integrated outcome. And that's what we need. Outcomes, not outlays. We need empowerment, not endowment. We don't need subsidies. We don't need subsidies at all. We need the tools, the management, and the markets. And those of you who invest in stocks, and those of you especially who do day trading, what is the maximum fluctuation which you see in a stock market which makes you go, oh, what happened? 10%? 10% fluctuation in the market is like going to go, oh my God, the market is a headline story. I'm a farmer, I can tell you. From day to evening, I have seen price fluctuations of 300%. 300% fluctuations in the market prices I see. And that happens every day. He's an excellent stock manager, the farmers are. So, that brings us to the model of PURA. It stands for Providing Urban Amenities in Rural Areas, PURA. And that is a sustainable development system which we are working on, promoting, taking across to the India, also promoting it as a model for the world rural population, which is based on 4 connectivities. I'm not going to go to detail into the connectivities because I want to share with you some success stories and examples. But the connectivities are physical connectivity, which essentially talks about infrastructure, roads, river linkages, and all those things which are required for the local markets to be accessed and people to move around. Then there is electronic connectivity, which is essentially things like internet, ISDN, and enabling people with a backbone of electronics. Then that should lead to knowledge connectivity, which should be very customized depending on the local competencies and the local needs. And then finally, at rural levels, we need something called the economic connectivity, which is basically based on the core competencies of the rural areas. How do you make income generation possible? And these are the 4 connectivities we work with. We choose a cluster of about 15, 20, 30 villages, and which have a shared competency, and then these connectivities are supposed to be deployed. So the different kinds of Pura clusters, depending on because a lot of it is agrarian, so agroclimatic conditions, on that the classification has been done. You can have a plain Pura, hill Pura. I'm not going to go into details of that, because I want to work on what things work. What works in rural areas, what we have experienced, and what I'm going to share further now, is solutions have to be practical, they have to be shown to be believed. First do it yourself and then teach it to someone else. It has to be community owned. It can't come from the top to the bottom as a sort of a lesson. It has to be owned, managed by the community. Communities need to be empowered. It has to be very enterprise driven. Local youth must find employment as an enterprise opportunity in the rural setting itself. Enterprise, enterprise, enterprise. And finally, whatever you do, please do it with respect and dignity. There is a lot of traditional wealth which resides in Indian rural areas. You have to respect it and treat everyone with dignity. So let me share with you some of the success stories as I promised. So one of the Puras which operate, Pura complexes, operates in Madhya Pradesh, Central India, which is a place called Chitrakoot. It's called Chitrakoot in Uttar Pradesh and Satna in Madhya Pradesh. It's shared between 2 states. And it's religiously very important from the Hindu religion point of view. Because Lord Ram spent some time there during his forest. So this is how we started. It was a place which lacked water. And not because there was no water, there was no rainfall, but because there was nothing to store water. There would be ample rainfall which would just flow into the river. So the first intervention which started was the intervention of creating water pools, which were 3-layered water storage reservoirs, and the water would flow from one level to another and be stored. So that for the year round, you have water available. So from that, and if you look at this well where this little child is there, it's a dry well. From that, within a matter of years, using those innovative water conservation technologies, we were able to create that pool right there. And this is the herbal garden which the villagers manage over there. It's called All the Herbal Medicines there. Entire thing is managed by an institution which is owned by the people called the Deendayal Research Institute. So the local people who operate this. The focus of the Chitrakoot Pura has been towards creating self-reliant villages. So self-reliant in our terms means a lot more than just income, and a lot more than just real things like having a job or a school or something like that. It's much more than that. Of course, it's about having some basic income. It's about having access to road. It's about having some access to the environment, because every house over there is supposed to have a tree. Only then will a village be called self-reliant. But most importantly, the point number 6 is social consciousness and harmony, which is very important for a village to be termed as self-reliant in the Chitrakoot Pura model. And how do you measure it is amazing. So there are objective measures to actually capture the harmony of the village, which include having a tree in every village, having a tree in every house, ensuring that no widow in the village is ever denied remarriage, ensuring that there is no superstition, ensuring that there is no legal conflict between the villages. There is zero cases within villages with each other. That's only when a village is termed as self-reliant, and the DRI Pura model has created 500 such self-reliant villages. Learning vital, that's most important. So what we have created is this, so India, the land holding size is very low. It's about 1.5 acres, 2.5 acres, the average land holding size. You have to tell the farmer within that land holding size, you can make an income generation and you can sustain a family with all the expenses which comes with a family. So what we did was that instead of going and telling you do this and you do that, we created a farm which is 1.5 acres and 2.5 acres, and we would call farm interns to work there for about a month or two and learn by doing. So you grow it yourself and you know that it can be done in your farm. And this table reflects how to do it and what amount of money which you'll make and how will the expense managed in your house. And this is some farm interns who are there at that model farm. Move ahead. Production cum training center. So beyond the farm, so there's a problem with this guy's unemployment in the rural area because farms do not operate for 12 months. How do you generate more employment opportunities beyond the farm? How do you generate employment opportunities for women? How do you generate employment opportunities for those who do not have land? For that, we started focusing on something called the Production Cum Training Center, which is basically 12 shops. The problem is that in traditional model, we impart the vocational skill first and then we just leave you high and dry. With the training, you can't do anything. So what we started to do is, we deliberately named not Training Cum Production Center, but Production Cum Training Center, because you produce first and during the process of production, you learn how to do it yourself. The 12 shops, each one has a different area, and all these shops are profit-making ventures. And these people come in, interns there, and once they are trained, they are helped with microfinance to set up their own ventures. The confidence building by working in a profitable center is immense vis-a-vis just imparting vocational skills. I told you about traditional wealth, about traditional knowledge, and it's important to use it. And that's why in this concept of Dadi Ma Ka Batua, Dadi Ma means grandmother, Batua means the first. And in India, the grandmother is considered to be one who has the primary solutions to your health problems. And that confidence is important to tap upon. So this is a kind of a kit, which is like a small bag, 33 medicines which are all certified, tested, all Ayurvedic based. And this is distributed to across the village to treat normal cases of ailments. And these are my favorite people. So this person and his wife, they are both graduates. It's called Ram Maste. And the little kid is there. And these are called Samaj Shilp Dampatis. Samaj Shilp means social architects, Dampati means couples. Social architects, couples. And the job of these people is that it's like a family. Both of them have to be graduates, under 35 years of age, to have 2 or less than 2 children. And what we do is that the DRI would simply place them to one of the villages, where the villages will support all their needs, their food, their lodging and everything else. They will pay the stipend, but they're supposed to live a life which is a model life. They're graduates anyway, so they have a higher educational status than everyone else. And once they start living a life of peace, harmony, of respecting each other, people look up to them and start emulating them. And then gradually what happened was that people started coming up with their real problems. They become like the ideal citizens at a village level. And that, what has resulted is that they take care of all the legal issues. No one goes to the court. People come to them, they solve it. That's how it happens. And this one is called a Gurukul. It's Gurukul means kind of schooling. And what's innovative about this, quickly I'll tell you, is the fact that, see, we have so many elderly people who have retired out of services and who have a tremendous experience of the local place, who know like inside out, who know people inside out. Why do we waste of that talent? So what we've done is the DRI has coupled the youngsters of the village with the elderly people, and there are these dormitories like this one. There are many such dormitories where students reside, and it's a residential school. And for each dormitory, there is something called a Mata Pita, which is an elderly retired couple, suppose them, would live with these children. The children would call them as Mata Pita, and these elderly people feel happy about it because, their children are somewhere else, so they get new children to look after. They love that thing. And what their job is that beyond schooling, how can you improve value-based learning? So, a child spends 6 hours in school, 18 hours, what does it do? How do we create value-based citizens? These retired couples do their job as a good. And this is what they have made like a hospital. It's Arogya Dham, and it's an Ayurveda hospital, one of the best in India, and it has an OPD, IPD for the local villages as well. People from outside also come in, and that way there's a cost balance. And this is President Kalam, the President of India, having lunch with the women workers of different let me quickly take you through. So Chitrapur then we have it a lot of places. One of them is right down south in a place called Tanjore, which is Vallam district. That's called a Periyar because the university called TEDx, Periyar Mannamai University does it. And their focus has been also on the local competencies. 65 villages they cover, about 200,000 people. How does Pura work? It has to be integrated. You have to integrate it across the value chain. It has to be vertically linked. There has to be socio-business models. Business models are important. Let there be returns. Let there be investment of one time only, perhaps a social investment. But then it has to be sustainable. And you have to pay consequences. And as I end, let me end with this very nice photograph I had in one of the puras at Lodi, which is in Maharashtra. And this girl is called Sarita, and that is called Vanita. The story of Sarita and Vanita is unique. In Maharashtra, in that area, there are these tribal women who get married at the age of 14, 15 to people who are, on the plains, they live in the hills. And at many times, they are their second wives. They don't know that. And there was a whole case of a lot of people were truck drivers and all those people. And these women at 14, 15 would be married to these truck drivers who had a high incidence of HIV. And these women would be married into families where they would be contracting HIV. And these women got together after the death of their husband. They're thrown out of the houses. Their in-laws throw them out because they're considered as a curse who brought death on their son. And their parents would never take them back. It's just not culturally possible. So these women got together and started a cooperative child care sector, which they manage completely themselves. And their children are a part of that sector, which imparts them education, food, and everything. Sarita and Vanita are two such children whose mother is an HIV positive lady. So, what do you ask the child? What do you ask the child when you meet her? The first impulsive question is, "Bade hoke kya karoge?" When you grow up, what will you become? So I asked her. Not realizing that what I should have asked her. And but they gave a beautiful reply. The reply was, "I want to become a doctor. And I want to become a doctor because my mom has been ill throughout my lifetime and I want to cure her." Hope is all what good India is about. Let's not dash it.